Welcome back, FHF. It's AC cooling down the heat.
You know what it is. Stay cool. How y'all doing?
All right, we got a special guest today. He's a teacher. Some of you guys might like your high school teacher. Some of you guys you might not. Today I like to say we have a likable high school teacher.
Absolutely.
He's an art teacher. We're gonna be picking his brain out about being a teacher and also like the progress of becoming a teacher. Hopefully some of you students out there can learn about a teacher's perspective too, or if you want to take his career path, hopefully he can give some advice and mentorships out there. And welcoming Zach.
Bring him in.
All right, thank you. Oh, there's the clapping.
This is the real clap.
There's the real clap.
The real audience.
All right, Zach.
Start it off?
All right.
Do you mind just giving out who you are, a little bit of yourself?
Sure. My name's Zach. I work out at Morris Island High School here in the Seattle area. Not from here originally. Grew up in Wisconsin, moved out here 5-6 years ago. Been abroad. Gamer.
Kind of just want like a change of scenery or so, you know, a new opportunity.
Kind of. So it was. I always like got family here, right? And so I'm like grew up coming out, visiting my extended family on my mom's side.
Okay.
And so, 6 years ago when I moved, life was bright, and I always thought I'd move here at some point. And so,
And now you're here.
Now
You made it happen.
Yeah. So.
He's here.
Yeah.
I mean, Washington is a beautiful place.
It is.
Oh, no, I like it a lot.
We got all 4 seasons. I don't know about Wisconsin.
Well, no, Wisconsin's got the seasons. The things, though, is that, right, because I was abroad, and where I was had mountains, and so then I'm like, well, crap.
We got mountains over here, too.
Yeah.
I know, well, that's what I like, is I miss mountains, because the Midwest has nothing. It's just flat.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Okay. So how this is gonna work? We're gonna just ask you about questions about like your progression of becoming a teacher and like kind of like before the teacher scene, and then
Exactly.
once we get into and later on we're gonna get to more into like why you're a teacher and stuff like that.
For sure.
Basically the intro of the
Yeah.
before they were famous part.
Exactly, before your face. Before
famous?
Zach was famous as a teacher. So my first question for you is: Did you want to be a teacher as your first career choice?
First career choice, no. I always thought I'd do it long term, because my major was in California, where I went to school, graphic design. So I did I worked for a really small company for about a year, doing anything from logos to websites to. I actually did a whole rebrand of a company, and so that was everything from it was a BMX company, so parts and things, branding, right. So it was a lot of fun, but I always thought I'd do that for 20 years and then teach, right? Teach at maybe a college or something, but
it was more about art too.
Yeah.
That direction of teaching.
Yeah, for sure. Art/design, something like that.
But you've always known that teaching is something that's kind of in you.
Well, I mean, I guess somehow, because slight backstory. So my dad's a pastor, and so growing up, everyone's like, "Oh, you should be a pastor. You should be a pastor. You're great. You have that personality. You like." I was like, no, I don't want to deal with. I don't want to deal with people all day. Granted, that's what teaching is, but I don't know, something about working with kids versus I don't know
Adults.
right. And so I grew up doing summer camp and camp counselor, and I was working with kids anyway, and just kind of made sense.
Does it still have that same effect, even teaching college students? Because they're still adults, but they're still students, you know?
Oh, for sure. What do you mean by same effect?
You were saying that you'd rather, teach. Well, I don't know if you said rather, but teach kids instead of adults is different. How about for college?
Yeah.
Where it's a mixture.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's the difference. I don't know. I like working with kids. I think it'd be nice to work with college kids because the thing, as much as I love high school kids, it'd be fun sometime, maybe someday. With college students, they're a little more developed. They are, in theory, know the fundamentals, since you're more getting into the theory crafting and the headiness of why you're doing the art, which you do a little bit in high school, with AP kids, or some of the higher level classes, but
True.
So it's good things to both.
Knowing you personally too, you were also in Japan.
Yeah.
Were you teaching kids or adults? Young adults, or what was the age like?
So that was high school.
Oh, okay. It was also high school.
It was all high school.
Okay.
And so that was I had worked for a year in design, moved back to the Midwest, tried to find that for about a year, couldn't find it. I was like, well, shit, let's go do something with myself before I find an actual career, because I was kind of struggling. So I was over in Japan, and like of course, the easiest thing to do when you're abroad is teach.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, technically it was missionary, but it was just teaching the whole time.
Did that inspire you to become like a full-time teacher as your next step?
Pretty much. I mean, right. That's
Kinda
when I got back, it was like, well, should I just want to do this right now? I don't want to wait. And it was just the competitiveness of graphic design. As much as I love it, that's not quite my jam. I'm much more laid back, and so it's like, well, I'll just teach now. I like working with kids.
That's fair. I get it.
I like that. Yeah. So I guess do you like have any other inspiration why you became a high school teacher? Or was that just mainly Japan?
Well, I mean, going back to my childhood, like working with kids once I was old enough to work at camp, like that just, I don't know. I guess I never really thought about it. I guess a lot of stuff I've done in my life, it's never really been like, I want to do it really.
Right.
It's more like it just kind of happened. But like for good reasons. It's not like you're thrust in it and like you're stuck.
It just sounds like, you've been
right.
growing
just
up.
Kind of the life
been,
path just kind of
their path has been
way.
teaching
right. So
kids, to be honest, because you said like camp stuff and then, like that, and then now you went to Japan abroad teaching English, and then right now in your real life, main life, you're teaching. Yeah.
So where'd you go to school for? You went to school for art, right?
So graphic design. But
graphic design.
It's close enough.
Yeah.
So that's like I said, like branding, other stuff. Now it's called UX design because they add in the whole, like the graphic design, unless you go to like a specific art school, which they might still have it, but that's kind of changed. So back in my day, it was just graphic design, but UX now is like website design and everything, and like user interaction, right? Because the modern era.
It's involving.
it's a headache, man. I don't know if I'd do it if I went back. Probably just do straight art, but.
I have a cute little question.
Okay.
I like to say cute because did any of in your past did any of your high school teachers inspired you to become the high school teacher you are right now?
Same question.
Inspire me. I'd say I don't know about inspire. I mean, like I can think of a couple of high school teachers that like are my favorites.
But
have
you ever looked back like, okay, they were a good teacher. Maybe I'll be like, maybe I could be something like them.
I mean, that's a good question.
If you can be honest, if it's no, it's totally
well.
A no.
It's not that it's a no.
Right. Just gotta like, dig for it.
But it's I don't know. Like, I guess in a way, like there's one teacher, my bio teacher, Mr. Berg. If you ever see this, the thing that I liked about his classroom, like it was probably it was bio, wasn't art, but him as a person, like he pushed you. And you did your work, but he also, like, there were days in class where we would sit and just talk shit for, like, 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But, like, we'd still get everything done. Like, see, we had that personality to, like, jive with you as a person and as a group, even. Like, I don't know. I felt like everyone is included.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like a disconnection with, like, a teacher, just students, but it's just like a whole, you know?
Yeah.
So he was really, truly a leader, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Did you have an art teacher back in your school?
I did. I didn't actually take a whole lot of art. Art was kind of something. I mean, I remember taking an art class or two, but art was kind of just something I did on my own. I mean, there was just why I did design. So like there was, so back when I was in high school, it was a small town, like 1,000 people.
Right.
And so like we didn't really have design classes, but there was what they call multimedia. So it's like you do a little bit of everything. You do video, you do design, you do. Like music, like it's just kind of one of those touch everything classes.
So your art skills were self-taught in a way?
Essentially, kind of. I don't really have a whole lot of fine art. Like I did some stuff in college, right? I took
what got you into graphic designs?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Because I'm just
honestly, I don't know. Like
I'm
it's one of those things where I think it's more like the tech aspect of it. Like I liked art and I liked doing stuff. Like I just doodled when I was a kid, right? I never really painted. But then, like, I also was really into video games, and so just kind of the combination of those two to me was like graphic design.
Okay,
and so like the artsy part of it, and then my mom is an architect, so like we'd always would like, I don't know, talk about architecture or things that we like, and so that kind of was fostered that way.
You know what's funny? We just had a podcast with a student that's in architecture.
Nice. Yeah. So right, I think just kind of like all those things kind of mushed together.
Yeah.
And like I said, right, it's never really been planned. It's just that kind of life has just happened.
That's an awesome way.
No,
to
but
put it.
that's a good story because
Right.
I'm just curious how it went to like, you know, not really in art class,
Yeah.
but like self-taught, and then got into graphic design, and then from graphic design,
Right.
went to like becoming a teacher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like it wasn't just art teacher.
No.
It was like, you know, just
Right.
mentoring kids.
Yeah.
And then when you went to Japan, you taught English,
Yep.
and then you came back. You're teaching art again,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
which is kind of amazing, you know.
I think that opens
Yeah.
up a lot of people's
Yeah.
eyes because how we think about it is that a teacher is someone that went to school for teaching for years and then now he's a teacher. But no,
Right? No,
he had
But
his
no,
own
it's not-
goal.
there's
Right,
more
I-
to that. Yeah,
I didn't get into like right. This is my second year. I've been doing like random shit for the last 10 years. Like I'm 34. Like I started teaching when I was 32. Like
Yeah.
there's a good 10-year gap between graduation from college and like there are people that.
But I mean,
do
that's
that route,
that's
but-
just like you paving your path to
Right.
where you are right now too.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes
sure.
I feel like it takes a while for some people to figure out exactly what they want to do,
Oh, totally.
and you're not because. So my teacher that I talked to, not like in high school, he had a weird career path too.
Yeah.
Like it took him probably 20, 30 years before him becoming a teacher.
Yeah.
And he's an old ass dude.
Right.
I'm not even joking.
No, I believe you. Yeah.
Like he was in construction and all this other stuff
okay.
too
Yeah,
before he got into becoming a full-time teacher. And now he's like a literature teacher.
Yeah.
But he's retired now, but
yeah.
I forgot his name, but shout
out
you
there.
out.
Yeah.
That's
Shout
just
you out.
shows how impactful the story is.
Yeah,
Don't even know your name. Just knows your story. That's
I'm sorry. I just meet too many teachers and meet too many people. I get people mixed up right
as long as he
now.
doesn't care. No, I'm kidding.
No.
But
sure.
I just find it amazing because he was telling me that like it wasn't just teaching at
Right.
first, just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Like
Right.
he had to go through like so many other
Yeah.
paths in order to be like, okay, this is what I want to do.
Right.
It really kind of opens the eyes to like you can just keep your eyes open and something will come. You know, like a lot of people just like, oh, I want to do this from day
Yeah.
one and start working on that.
Right.
But you might end up anywhere and just go to show it.
Well, especially you just had so much like teaching background, and
In a way,
you
yeah.
kind of got yourself into like a real teaching job now,
Right.
which is really amazing.
Yeah, it is.
So what was your process of like, you know, getting into like teaching school and stuff like that?
So I did my undergrad in, so technically it was multimedia, but graphic design. But really once that, like there's two different routes. Like I looked at, so once I moved up here in like 2018, it was either there's like the 1 year intensive, what do they even call it? It's like, it's not really a master's degree. It's like a 1 year intensive, like take classes, student teach, you get your cert as a person who's already done their undergrad, or you get your master's. And so as much as I would have loved it in the 1 year to get it done sooner, like life and money,
Right.
well, kind of money. Granted, I took out loans for all of my masters, which is its own crap, but whatever. Right. It's just the master's 2 years. So I found actually right close by here is where I went for my master's, and yeah.
What school is that?
SPU.
That's the school
Down the street.
that we're around here.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of funny when I saw on the map. Oh, we're over here by SPU. That's kind
Now
of
I gotta ask you, what are the students like over there? Because
I don't know. Because I went during pandemic. Like I
that's
started
right,
in 2020.
That's right. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
That would have been, I think we had like 1 or 2 in person.
That's when I met you too.
Yeah.
okay.
So plus like master's degree program is so different. Like I'm assuming, I don't know what the undergrad population is like. I know that there was some not debacle, but some happened during not my graduation, but the master's graduation was good, but the undergrad graduation, there was some debacle that happened at the college. But
Yeah. So this was the COVID times that you were getting your
totally.
your master's degree, right?
yeah,
Wow, that's amazing. So this was like all in Zoom and stuff
online
like that.
class. How do you focus on that?
well, it was nice because like right at the time, for part of the time, right, we were working at the beginning.
Right,
We were working together at the
working
restaurant.
together.
So like having that free form time.
Well, that's the
to
thing.
work.
Actually, no. When you first started,
no, was that after?
it wasn't. It was before COVID. No. It was a little bit before COVID because
It was because
Was it?
Yes,
Yeah.
because I remember because
I was gone by the time COVID
yeah,
hit,
because-
and I met him at the
yeah.
Okay.
It was a little before COVID because I remember you just joined. We were still really busy
Right.
at the time, and then when COVID hit, that's when me and you were just working the lunch shift.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember you're talking to me like, "Oh yeah, I gotta get back to like Zoom or whatever."
And it's
Oh,
literally like,
that's right.
like a 3-month time
yeah,
span.
Well,
and then we got laid off for a couple of days.
For a little bit, and then we came back. Though that also could have been because I didn't have a formal art degree. This is the weird thing about teaching is, so to teach a CTE class, my school calls it CCR, but CTE class in the state of Washington, there is no school, undergrad or master's program that will give you a CTE degree, at least from what I found when I graduated. And so I had to go just the straight art route, which I didn't have a full art background. I think if I would have had like a minor in art from my undergrad, I'd been fine. But so what it was is I might have been taking art classes up at Seattle Central because I had to like fill in like some art history or painting and stuff.
I see.
So it might have, I don't know. Like the timeline, I guess, on when I started is kind of funky, but
Because I remember, you were starting
I
before.
did have some.
Yeah, before COVID, and then I remember that's when we start.
And
It might have been that fall right before COVID.
It was like a very, it was like
it
a
had to be
very
really
short. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like right before.
right because
Yeah.
COVID hit what?
So I was literally gone,
March.
1 month?
Yeah.
March of 20. I might have started like fall of 2019 then.
Yeah.
but
And then
Anyway.
after that, it's funny because after COVID kind of died down,
yeah.
you started becoming a student teacher, right?
Yes, right.
Mm-hmm.
So, because for master's program you have, not all schools are like this, but right, like you do about a year. I don't know if it's a year and a half of just like classroom stuff, and then you do student teach. Some schools are different, right? Mine was a 1 semester, so what's that? 6 months of student teaching. So I did that over at Lincoln High School.
Lincoln High School.
Lincoln High School.
Lincoln. You talking about Tacoma?
No, it's a brand new high school.
No, but
in Seattle now.
It wasn't though.
It wasn't.
They
but
remodeled
they
it for a while,
remodeled it. Yeah,
because it was shut down for I think
It was
when I
quite
was there,
some time, though.
Yeah. They were
Yeah.
using it for, from what I was told, they were using that school previously before it was during its remodel as like as other schools remodeled, they would have classes at Lincoln for other schools as they needed space. I don't know, something like that. But
did you know what type of teacher you really wanted to be, like, or were you just mainstream art?
Before we even got the opportunity.
Yeah.
elaborate. What do you mean? What type of teacher I wanted to be? Like
Like,
personality
did you want
wise?
no? Did you like not just not personality wise? Like, did you
Like art form or?
did you want to be like a language art teacher?
Oh,
or
I see what you mean. I mean, it was always kind of art, right? Because I always thought I'd teach design. I did, like, when I was looking at schools and paths too, because you have to get a specific, once you're done with school, they give you a specific, like, what's it called? Whatever you are, your specific niche that you can teach. I looked briefly at math, just because I liked math growing up.
Yeah.
Which is weird for an art kid, but I liked math. But then I was looking at it and like the same thing with the art is I would have had to go back and get like a whole minor in art, and that would have been another X amount of dollars. And I'm like, no, thank you. It's a lot of work.
So in the teaching program, you kind of choose like which path you want to take.
Yeah.
And you
And
chose
then-
art.
So in terms of, from how I understand, at least from a master's degree, bachelor's, I'm sure is somewhat the same, is that you pick one path, one endorsement, that's the word. And then that's what you graduate in. But then after that, to get more endorsements, depending on what it is, there's just like some sort of test. Or I haven't
see.
really looked into it. Like I teach CTE and it's conditional cert, because that's what they need me for at the school, and they vouch for me, and I have a plan of like within 3-5 years, like the goal is to fully get the CTE cert, and that's kind of how they do the wiggle room on CTE stuff.
Okay, I
But-
see, I see.
Yeah.
But now you're talking about personality wise. Yeah,
Yeah,
now I'm curious what you're gonna say.
No, I don't know. Like just like to me, the biggest thing is like relationships, and that's, I think, a lot of teachers, especially teachers I work with. Heck, even last week at a staff meeting, like we were kind of going through like what are the things that we want to focus on, what would make our school culture better, and like that was one of the things, is just building relationships with kids. Like
That I think
like it's huge.
Yeah,
you don't know
I think what you're
what's
saying
going
is
on at home with kids.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
having that connection, like you don't know if like Johnny has a shit life at home and doesn't have like a father figure or mother figure they can look up to, and
or Johnny could just be alone.
right.
Yeah. And then when Johnny feels alone, you know.
Right.
He could be a very typical kid and start robbing stores and start coming to school with a gun.
Whatever route you want to take it, for sure. So it's like, to me, it's the relationship.
No, what I'm trying to say is important because you know, like you're saying, like, you don't know, some of these kids at home, you know, they can be going through stuff. Right. And you're right, because, you know, I want to connect this to my high school time. I'm gonna mention this teacher again. I don't know. No, not this.
Remember the name yet?
No, not this is Tola. Yeah, this is Tola. I'm talking about Tola right now.
Tola?
Yeah, Tola. This I talked about him in the podcast before, but Mr. Tola is a really straightforward teacher. He was telling Thomas could vouch for me again because Thomas had this class, but he said that, like, if you don't want to go to college, don't go to college. Don't waste your 100%. Don't waste your fucking time 100%. Spending your money and stuff like that. And that's like the type of connection I want, the truth with a teacher, you know, like, you know, like, be honest to us, give us some adult advice. And he gave us that. And he's like, if you want to just earn money, go find a job, earn some money, get some experience and stuff.
Right.
If you really want to go to college, figure out what you want to do and go to college, but do not waste your time just to like waste your time in college. If you want to go party, don't fucking do that at college. Just go party.
Yeah, this is important, man, because this is literally the exact reason why.
And that's the bond that, for me, that's kind of the bond that you're talking about.
Yeah.
That sense. I want from teachers too, because you know, that was important to me, and that kind of made me, you know, make my life decisions right now.
Right.
I didn't go to college, as we kind of know from the previous pods, but that's why I took my direction, because of the teacher, because he was straightforward. Because I knew personally, if I went to college, I would have wasted my time partying and stuff like that. If it wasn't for that teacher telling me straightforward, like it as a grown, like, you know, adult, as a teacher figure, telling me as a student, not knowing what's my path of, like, you know, ahead of me.
Yeah,
I like, that helped me, to be honest. Yeah, and that's why I like what you're trying to say, like the relationship. I mean, do you have any connections?
Oh yeah, man.
With your teachers that kind of.
I have a disconnection with my teachers. This is why I was gonna say.
Yeah, what was the opposite for you?
It's God, I can't talk. The reason I like what he's saying is so important because, you know, when I was in school, I didn't have no teacher to connect with. They kind of, you know, they kind of bullshitted me, to be honest. You know, I was going through some things and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So when I got on top of my business, it's like, all right, I need to figure out what I want to do. They just like, man, it don't matter. You know, just get up out the office. They just wanted me to go to my next class. You know? So I felt like that's the reason why I dropped out 16, got my GED, right? And I feel like that's a huge reason. So I didn't really get no help from the school. So I feel like what you're saying is real important, you know?
Yeah. Well, because, like, kind of what Desmond's saying, they were just, like, telling you to just do your homework.
Just do your homework.
Sure. And, like, don't just do it. So I could grade it the next day and stuff like that. Like, just trying to get it over with. Like, it did not feel, like, genuine. Like, you can't have, like, when you're like, hey, how are you doing? They'll be like, just stop talking and do your work type stuff.
I can say with 100% certainty, I have not a single iota of motivation from school. It's all from, like, my family or friends. Not a single iota from school.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think teachers are important about
they're huge. It's huge.
Influencing and motivating kids nowadays.
Oh, totally.
Especially in school.
Change your life. Just having that one good teacher can change your entire path of your life.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah.
Instead of just like, hey, do your homework. Don't worry about what my day is or something like that.
So what do you hope to achieve, right? So you're teaching art and you're talking about how you hope to make these connections, relationships with your students. What's your goal here?
What's my goal?
And this is kind of, you know, outside of an intro, but, you know, I feel like some people want to hear this right now.
I don't know. I'm not a good goal person.
That's okay. Well, let's say we get back to Johnny then. Johnny he's having some things at home. And you're seeing him looking kind of weary-eyed, drawing, and he might draw some kind of suspect stuff and turns it into you.
He's like hating life.
Yeah, well, we don't know that.
He's drawing suspect stuff because he's hating life.
That's such a hard thing, like, to work with, right? Because like, it's one of those things where depending on how things progress, like in that specific situation, like right? The teacher, like, I could do so much and I can try to make those connections, but at some point you kind of got to pass it off, right? If it gets serious, whether it's whatever it may be, right? But I mean, the big thing is like, in my mind is like, I hope that kids can look back and say, hey, like, I had a teacher in high school that knew who I was, talked to me every day. Not that I can do that for everybody, right? I can do my best to have that for as many as kids as I can.
I mean, you're like one person compared to like how many semesters.
No, I know, but like it's one of those things where if like my goal, I think for teachers as a whole is that if you can be that one person, even just like even if like sometimes you don't even know it, right? Like you can just be nice to a kid, super cordial, and like get to know them a little bit, but then like to them you're like everything, right? And so it's sometimes it's unnoticed, sometimes you can definitely tell.
No,
the kids
sometimes some of these kids will go back to their parents like,
right.
You know, my teacher was like super nice to me today.
Right.
Like, can we get something for them? Like the teacher.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. My goal.
I've seen a lot of kids like, you know, give like gifts to teachers because of like their acts and
for sure.
Know,
yeah.
Appreciate the teachers and stuff like that. Okay. There was this one teacher that visited me in my job back in Nijo.
Nice.
I forgot his name too.
That's crazy.
But he was my math teacher. And shout out to you again. Not again, but shout out to you. Great teacher.
Oh man.
But
Augustine can't remember people's names. All right, sounds good.
As you guys can know, I don't have a good memory, so that's why I
no, we said that before, so you know what?
Yeah.
You get past.
Tracks.
Yeah.
But what I'll say is that that teacher was dope because I could also make a connection with him. Like he wasn't like, he didn't give me like any adult advice, but like it was good because like you know, I could talk to him like a human being, not just like a teacher student type of thing.
For sure.
And it felt more genuine. Yeah. 100%. But moving forward, what advice would you give out to those who wants to take the path of a teacher that you wish that you got before, you know?
If you knew that you wanted to teach, what could you give some tips? You know?
Oh man!
And we can always touch back on this question because I know there's so much to it.
I don't know. I don't know. I think my perspective of coming, like working and doing stuff for 10 years, like I don't really know. I don't really know what advice to give. I think I'd
like. What about like learning or something, like, you know, like student teaching.
I guess we could talk about this.
Like that whole broad.
I think the biggest thing is once you get into teaching is to really get a good, like, I'm assuming that people that get into teaching, like, they either like, I don't know, it's probably one of two things. They like working with kids or they like the subject. Sometimes it's both. Hopefully it's both. But I think the biggest thing is like teaching can suck your life away so much. Like I could spend, like, I was gonna grade this weekend. Sorry, students, if anyone's watching. I probably not gonna grade today. Blake, right? And I could be at school till 6 at night and grading and doing stuff. But I think the biggest thing is finding work-life balance. I mean, that's like everything, but I think with teaching especially, right? Like,
I've seen a lot of teachers just burn themselves.
Well, right. They burn out. Like like that's the thing. The statistic I was told is if you can make it through the first like 3 to 5 years, you're probably good. But like that first 3 to 5 years, like teachers can burn out from like putting in way too much time, not focusing on like having that balance of
their own personal life.
Right. Their own personal life, whether it's, I don't know, but I think that applies to like every job.
Yeah.
But I feel like in teaching,
well, I mean,
a little more,
a certain kind of patience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Well, because you're, you know, main subject is about being a teacher too. So
yeah,
is your experience.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Like what, so heading to the next question, what were you most excited about becoming a teacher, or what were you most anxious about?
I think the biggest thing is once I kind of got into teaching, like, right, getting into that, student teaching progress is like, I hadn't really been doing any art for the last like 8 to 10 years. So like the knowledge base, right? Because I was working odd jobs abroad. I was teaching English because that's the easiest thing to teach when you're in a different country. And
right.
like I hadn't really been doing art for the last 8 years. And so the knowledge base, like what has changed, like also the thing with teaching art is that there is no curriculum. It's not like a math book, like a math textbook anything else. Like a little bit more like English where you could, like you kind of can use a textbook, but you kind of make it up yourself. Like, what do you think is important?
It's like you can't use like a cheat book too. Yeah.
Right. So it's a lot of people will tell you this or probably, but like you beg, borrow, and steal from wherever you can find like, right. I find other art teachers that post their curriculum online, which is awesome. And then I kind of like co-opt it, tweak it to what I know and what I think the kids would be good. Or,
also within like the abilities you have too, right? Like at school.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like in terms of resources, I'm fortunate to have a decent school with a decent amount of resources. But yeah, it's the knowledge base was my biggest scare is like, am I going to know enough? Especially like my main thing right now is outside of this year, I finally have a design class, but photography, like I'd never really done that at all. Right. It's close in terms of like the digital side of it, at least, because it was digital photography, but, right. I was basically, it's one of those where you like stay like 1 week, if not 24 hours ahead of the kids. And like basically, all right, this is what we're doing today. I learned it yesterday, but you don't know that.
so would you say it's a little bit harder compared to like other teachers because they would have like a textbook, like a cheat book in a way too with all the answers? Because I know some teachers that had a textbook back in the day, and they don't use their own brain. Right. They will use a textbook. Hey,
just the textbook straight.
This is what we're learning today. If you need the answers, I have them. Type stuff. They don't. Sure. They wouldn't be like, oh, no. I wouldn't like.
So you really got find your own stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna say it's harder, because I think it's
different.
Every in my opinion, every good teacher who's worth their salt would be doing what we do, where you have to think about the curriculum.
That's true.
So I don't know if it's ever really harder, but it's that first like few years building your own curriculum so that you can then right, as I go like over the next couple of years, once I kind of have it locked in, I can just tweak stuff. It'll make life easier, less planning outside of work hours. Okay. But yeah.
So you didn't say anything about the good things. Did you have any like good things that you're excited about? I
didn't say any of the good things.
You asked if things he's excited or anxious about.
Okay. You said the anxious part, but what about the excited part?
I mean, it just go back to working with kids. Like to me, that's the excited part, right? Is getting those relationships, and like that to me, that's where it was hard coming back to America because I was in Japan. The Japan school system, apart also because I was a foreign teacher, and you have a little bit different relationship, like because stereotypically foreigners, especially white foreigners, I think are like, oh, you're amazing, I want to be your friend, kind of a thing. Like the students have that sort of things. Like you kind of build those relationships. By the way,
I was in Japan. I can vouch for that.
Yes. And so like that's what I was looking forward to most, because building those relationships. Though in America, you have to be a little more strict or like safe with distance and contact, or how you do that, because the legalities of it are and just different culture. It's I don't know.
This is off topic, but in Japan the kids clean their own classroom.
Dude, they do. Actually, that was one of my favorite parts of the day.
The kids clean the classroom
because it's like it's sweeping, right? Well, but
not just sweeping. They'd be
like everything.
They got like
the Windex
like what they do is they split kids up, and they have like some will do classrooms, some will do like the restrooms. Like they don't have janitors really. Yeah. Like that, some of the janitors will do some stuff. Like they'll take out the trash. They'll like sweep.
They will maintain. They'll maintain the stuff, but generally, the kids will do all the cleaning.
Right.
I think that's I think that's a great ideal to teach. To be
Oh,
honest,
I think so too.
Yeah.
Like some of these kids need to learn how to clean up after themselves,
Right?
Not throw trash on the ground.
Because
That
that gum on the bottom of the table has always been
Oh
my
my
biggest pet
gosh.
peeve, bro. I always prayed I would
Bro,
find a dude
not the dust, but like when you're sitting on the bleachers and stuff, just like my
it's like, bro,
gosh.
shit is
trash
this?
can 3 feet away, you goddamn hooligan, bro. Like, come on. Anyway.
That's the worst,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah.
So this is a whole different question right here. But
Huh.
I feel like this is kind of important for people that might want to be a teacher, right?
Yeah.
Were you someone that valued education when you were younger?
That's a great question.
I'd say in a roundabout way, yeah. I don't think it was ever like, I don't know. My parents, I was one of those kids I felt that, right, like I had to do my homework. I enjoyed school. I got through with like A's and B's. Like I was just naturally talented enough to get through. So I think, I don't know, in a way, I guess I never really thought about that one.
Okay.
But it wasn't like an overt, like, you got to be in school, you got to do stuff. Because I just kind of did it anyway.
Okay, I like that.
But
okay, so the whole reason I even asked that, right? Because I wonder if for somebody who doesn't value education, it's just not in their blood, not in their family's blood, do they have any hope of being a teacher after they find their way and growing up?
I think so.
Okay.
Like, I almost think that that's, in a way, like, I think the content knowledge, right? Because if you want to be a teacher, you'll probably learn the knowledge for whatever you're teaching. But to me, I think the bigger part there is because people that have that kind of background, like they came about it from a different way where they know what it's like to not have that be valued. Yeah. And then coming at it like, hey, now I know the value of having this education, what it could have done for me.
Well, it's also like the lifestyle they live too, because a lot of lifestyles, some of them don't value education, like depending, where they're like coming from. Yeah.
I like that.
And the families too. Because honestly, like growing up, majority of the kids value families.
They take their families' goals and morals,
morals and like what they think about. And then when the family said, "Oh, we don't really value education like that," I think some kids kind of follow that sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
Speaking for us African American folk.
Oh, yeah, no, go ahead.
Us African American folk, it's not often. Before nowadays it's different, but before then it wasn't often that black families really cared about education, right? So when you find that one rare black teacher, you always got a perspective that back in the day they was just like me, and now they changed it up.
100%. Well, no, like I was gonna comment on that earlier. Like I think because you were talking about how you didn't have a teacher, I was gonna ask how many black teachers were at your school.
I think I might have had 2 black teachers in my life.
Damn.
And I've been to a different school each year.
Fuck.
Yeah. But that's why that was different,
Well, right. But still, I think that's huge. Like having that representation, seeing yourself and who you're there. Yeah. I wish, I don't know. That's a whole nationwide thing. That's an issue.
Is. Man, it changes state, city.
But, yeah, for sure.
Okay, but for y'all that and your families, education ain't big. Just know that if something sparks in you and become a teacher, you can do it. Speaking from a teacher, from a person that knows teachers that done it, you can do it.
You can always turn your life around, even through path experience. Like during your path, you can experience stuff, and you can learn from that.
It's all about growing.
Yep. What difficulties have you faced when becoming a teacher besides the COVID and stuff like that?
The process of becoming or during teaching?
Process of becoming a teacher.
I don't know. Like COVID wasn't that bad. I think the biggest thing, I don't know.
COVID didn't affect any of your studies or anything like that. Did it take more time away?
I think the studying was fine. I think the biggest loss that I felt from COVID was connection to other teachers in the program, right? Like we did a little bit of online, and I don't think I've talked with anybody in the last year, but like having that connection I think is big, like, right, would have been great. Yeah. I think education wise, it probably would have been a little bit better in person, but I mean, you see that with everyone who went through COVID, like even the kids I'm teaching now, it's the freshmen ish this year, like 8th grade freshmen, sophomores, like that's kind of the age range that I've really seen affected the most.
That's crazy. Even think
through about. Like, I think we're probably going to be seeing it for the next, like, until we get a group of kids that wasn't in school yet through COVID. Like, it's just at least at my school, and I probably nationwide, to some extent, like the competence, not the competency, but the willingness to do work is what I would say, or to put in the time. I don't know. It's weird.
Nah, I get what you're saying. Kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not a dignity. What's the word? Discipline. The discipline.
Yeah, the discipline
it's
for
kind
it.
of gone.
Oh yeah.
I always thought about that when I was in COVID. The main question I always thought, bro, what are the students going through, man? Like they already was like we was already talking about. Oh, they always on their iPads. They always on their phones.
Yeah.
But then COVID hit. They literally can only be on their iPads
Right.
and phones. So I always wondered how it
That was the
changed
biggest thing for me. Like there was nothing else for me to do at home. All I gotta do is just put on the Xbox,
Right.
watch a show, or like play video games.
Lucky. I was not. Lucky, bro. Lucky.
But no, it's not as lucky as you think it is, because having connections with outside the world is really important for a human, because when you're like alone inside, well, you know, I had a family around me, but like even though like I was alone in my room, it just felt really, I felt really like weird about it, and like I didn't like it at all. I wasn't able to work out, I wasn't able to do the things I wanted to do. It was really limited, you know. You can't really go out as much. Human interactions, like, oh, like, do I want to like go out there to get sick, or do I want to stay in here to be safe and protect my family, type of stuff.
Real quick, can I touch on something?
Yeah.
This is off topic, but because I'm always wondering this, right? How do you feel about? Have you been seeing like a spike in kids and like the mental health problems, loneliness, depression, because the COVID hit? So they, you know, of course, it's affecting them mentally. Have you seen it?
I mean,
yourself?
A little bit. I don't know. Granted, since it's only year 2, I don't have the years behind me to like have the perspective of it.
Yeah.
I want to say as a whole, from like conversations I've heard from other teachers or things that I've heard, in a way,
okay. So it's not
a little
as bad
bit.
as we think.
What?
So it's not as bad as we think.
Well, I don't know. I think some of it is, and it's, I don't know. Like I said, I think there's just that whole COVID kind of fucked things up.
Okay,
And
fair.
I think COVID fucked up everything, to be honest.
It did, right?
Like not just like for students. I think it fucked me up for sure. It wasted a whole year that my plans and stuff. I'm sure it wasted a lot of people's years and time and stuff. We're all stuck in a fucking room or a house, or you know, very limiting ourselves from going out.
Right. No.
I can't talk about people in the South though. But
what happened in the South?
Well, well, Zach, you wanna tell this gentleman what happened?
What am I missing something or
no? So basically,
just
in the South, they don't really care about COVID.
Well, right. It's just
it was just like they thought it was like some fake illness.
Right. I mean, not everyone did, but like, yeah. But I don't think it was just the South though. Like to me, from what I heard, like it was even just small town, like like the town I grew up in, right? The small town, middle of nowhere, Wisconsin, in the north. But it's I think it's more of a rural versus an urban thing.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
Right, where you can kind of blanket it as the South, but I think it's much more rural versus urban.
Well, but I think I'm saying the South is because I hear majority of the news from the South because they're like, I don't
for sure.
Like I get your point about the rural and urban
different regions.
Yeah, but majority from my perspective from like the news and stuff, it's like the South, like they don't believe in this, they don't want to wear a mask, they will go out no matter what,
right,
and stuff like that. Oh, they won't bring a COVID card out. This guy didn't even know a COVID card existed.
I'm telling you, I didn't. So, bro, I remember. When it hit us, the military, like you were saying, bro, we didn't care. We was like, bro, we chilling. We still 10-2. We didn't.
No, that shit matters so much over here. If you didn't have it, you can't either work or you can't go out. You can't do anything.
It was nuts.
It was like,
I was flabbergasted when I came back. Crazy. I said, "There's a distance." I was in California. In the Navy.
Okay.
Yeah, and even when I was like outside of military base, right?
Right.
The cities and towns, because I was kind of in the desert. They didn't have their mask on. There was no COVID cards. Nobody cared.
Yeah. Seattle was pretty strict on that. Like they checked COVID cards. Like it was IDs.
It was. I probably lost it, but yeah.
You lost yours?
I don't think I have it anymore. Well, no, I did because I had to take a picture of my phone at one point.
Oh, okay.
It was like, here's my card.
But moving past COVID time, it was an interesting era. But when you were a student teacher, did the teacher give you any advice?
Yes and no. It was one of those things where it's I really loved my student teacher. Speaking of, I need to send you an email. If you watch this ever, and say hi. I mean, he did and he didn't. It was one of those where it was he kind of did it like trial by fire, which was actually I thought was kind of good because it gave me a hint of like what it would actually be like coming up with my curriculum.
An actual experience,
right?
Yeah.
Like so, he had a little bit and would give me like, well, this is what I usually taught. Like this is the subject. This is what we're going through. And he's like, well, you know what you know. I can help fill in the blanks when you need it. But it was more of that, which was really cool. And then the big thing, which I said earlier, was like have a healthy work-life balance. Like he was really good at it too. Yeah. Granted, he's been teaching for, God, I don't know, 20, 30 years, something like that. But
so he got the experience.
Yeah, so he's got the experience. But like he was one of those guys where he would, he'd work days done at whatever time your school has it. Like you clock out and go, unless you like really got something to do.
Yeah.
Like yeah, you can work a little bit at home, but like don't like that work-life balance of work's at work, home's at home. Try not to do it unless you really, really have to.
So do you think his teaching methods kind of build off your morals of like becoming a teacher? Like you said, like a student.
Oh, totally.
Connected. Okay.
Right. I think. Well, it's one. The other thing that when you're going through that process of student teaching, it's actually they do it as like an interview process in a way.
Okay.
Like because you actually get to, like they have you do like this little form, and then they kind of source it out to the teachers that they have available, try and literally find like a match that like you would jive with.
Yeah,
right, so that you would jive.
That's good information, guys.
Yeah.
Listen in.
Yeah, so it's super cool. I'm hoping most schools do that, but my school was like that, and they're like they know that like based off of how you want to teach or like your morals a little bit. I forget all what they asked, but like that you jive as a person.
But like basically like an interview based
right, and then you actually meet them for a little bit and like, all right, like based off this like 20-30 minute interaction, are we gonna move forward this? And I was like, yeah, he's cool, and he said the same, and so
that's sweet. I did not know about that. That's super dope.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of weird that you said that because I experienced student teachers and they were nothing alike my teachers.
Yeah. Well, I remember seeing like an old man with a small Latina lady, and just always different.
I'm like, sometimes I'm like, this student teacher is cooler than my actual teacher.
I don't know. It probably also comes down to there's other things depending on the school, but I know that my school was like that. I'm sure that there are some that
because I remember my biology teacher. My teacher hated me. Like for a fact I know that. For a fact I know that.
Right.
But the student teacher was actually like she was dope. She was like more inspiring. Hey, like let's work this out and stuff like that. But my actual teacher was like, fuck you. No. Let's like do your shit and move along.
Right.
It was kind of, but that's why it's kind of interesting that you said that because I did not know that from. I mean, I guess from.
I think that's really cool. To be honest, you know.
Yeah.
I think. If not, like a lot of programs don't do that, I think they should do that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
right.
Because from what you're saying, it sounds like
a recipe for success. To be honest, it's like it costs nothing. Why y'all doing it?
Yeah, no, for sure.
So would you say like student teacher inspire you more to become a teacher? Or
I don't know if it inspired me more, but definitely gave me the confidence.
Okay, the confidence. So like, it gave you the more confidence.
Yeah, like
boost.
It's like the confidence boost of like, yes, I made the right choice. Because it's one of those things where like you're paying all this money, right? Especially for a master's program, paying all this money to go back to school to teach.
Yeah,
and like you're learning because the master's program you're learning how to teach. They assume that you already know the material.
Yeah,
and they know your curriculum, so you're doing all the behind the scenes stuff.
Okay.
So it was more of like a hey, like okay, actually this is okay.
So in a way, I guess I want to say like student teacher kind of just help you decide what type of teacher you want to be in the future.
For sure.
And I think it led a great path for you.
Mm-hmm. You found a good mentor.
Yeah. Well, leading to that, we're gonna take a break here.
Okay.
Appreciate you guys staying tuned.
Absolutely.
Next we're gonna talk about now like being an actual teacher now.
High school
getting
teacher
your experience. All right, thanks guys. All right, welcome back, guys. We back from break.
Thank you for coming.
You know, sorry we take a break, but you know, sitting in a couch for 1 hour kind of a little painful, and and especially talking.
Let me see you do this now.
Let me see you guys do this. I also want to appreciate Zach for coming out for doing this.
Absolutely,
for sure. Taking his time doing. Especially using his weekend.
He could be grading homework right now, but he's spending time with us.
To all those kids, I'm sorry that he's not grading homework.
If you need your grade up, too bad.
Yeah, too bad.
Too bad.
You'll get it this semester. It's fine.
Yeah.
But now that you're a teacher,
Uh-huh.
the teacher part.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's get into it.
What is the biggest misconception about being a teacher?
Biggest misconception. Man. I don't even know. Misconceptions.
You want to specify it? Maybe about a high school teacher specifically.
I don't know. It's
Art teacher? Because I know there's a lot of misconceptions about art specifically.
give me a misconception and I'll say if I think it's true.
Art teachers can't teach you nothing because it's art. It's not an actual curriculum.
Nah.
Misconception? Why?
Nah, misconception. Because I don't know, like it's to me that's one of the big things I guess like about like as much as like right. I think there's 3 of us art teachers. As much as we teach how to do the art, I think the biggest thing. Even so, the other day a buddy of mine from college teaches at a college level. So it's like, hey, like what do you want kids to know before they get to college? And the biggest thing that like from that is what I also agree with is like, right, you're teaching how to do it, but like the other thing that you're doing is you're teaching kids how to do the artistic process, which I think then you can extrapolate to like kind of anything in life, right?
Yeah.
You brainstorm, you ideate, you kind of do some pre-planning, you do it, you send it out there, you get some feedback, you reflect on it, right? Which you can kind of do with everything. And so like that's beyond the art part, like teaching that process,
Right.
I think is huge. And that's the other thing that my buddy in college was like, is like, hey, if they can come in knowing how to do that, because in college to me is really where you get more the fundamentals of how to do, like you have the fundamentals, but like you get past the fundamentals to do the actual more art forms or like talk deeper about it. So if you know how to do the fundamentals and you know how to do the process, that frees up the time to actually have the conversations about deeper meanings in art and why you're doing it and whatever heady stuff you want to get into.
Okay.
And so
I got another misconception. So some teachers
Just say
it. Yeah, no. Some teachers just do it for the money.
I mean,
What money?
well, no. I think so. I think
there's some schools that pay a lot and have good benefits.
They do, and so it's also actually. So it's funny you say that. It's 2 things. One, you actually. I don't know if this is everywhere, but I know in some places you can make more money as a high school teacher.
Yeah.
Than as a college
I
professor.
do know that. That's why I'm
Well, that's
asking
my
the
misconception.
question.
I thought teachers made nothing.
No, college professors actually, depending on what it is, make a lot less, which is really weird.
It is really weird.
Also, but that also depends on state. Like that's also not also why I moved up to Washington. I was in Arizona before I got here. That's where I landed when I got back. My parents had moved, and Arizona teachers get paid shit.
Oh, okay.
And so there's been a lot of like, I don't know, lately it's probably still not the greatest, but there's a lot of stuff going on in Arizona.
Yeah.
Whereas like, I think Washington State is definitely top 10. I don't know if we're top 5 in the nation for like pay scale. I think like New York and California, the top 2, of course. But no, you can make good money. So like how pay scale works, like you can actually look this up online, I think too. Like the schools will show it to you.
Yeah.
Well,
but like different schools have different pay grade though, right?
Right.
I believe
but
so.
there's a general, like for public schools, there's a usually somewhat across the state general pay. I guess depending on districts, it might be a little bit less. Yeah. But like, I think within the Seattle area, like I think the max pay I could make once you've been teaching for X number of years and have X number of, like you can also do professional development to get a higher pay scale. Mm-hmm. Is how it works. And so once I finish some of those things, I think the max I could make right now is like 120, 130 a year.
Which is still good.
Right, which is good, right? Yeah. Especially if we're living in a city, you kind of need that cash, but like
especially this city, Seattle.
No, I know. Yeah. So you can make decent money, and like you can actually. I was talking with some other teachers, and like there's a way to get not to the 120, but like there's a way to get to the because it's time gated. It's time gated by years, but it's also done by like the all the extra work you'd put in. Mm-hmm. And so you can get that done really, really quick. Because I talked with one of my teachers, and he's like, "Yeah, I did it within like 5 years." He's like, "You want to sit down one day, and I'll tell you all the little tips and tricks to get through all of it, because you can, you can get through it pretty quick to like just have your base pay done, and then all you got to do is get your time in."
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily too bad to get into teaching because of money.
Yeah.
I mean, not for the reason, but I mean
for
money.
I mean, some people could. I think it also depends on state. Yeah. I hope teachers don't get into it for the money.
Right.
Like, right? I think it's you hear about the opposite. Like teachers don't do it for the
money.
Yeah,
I mean that's what I always hear about.
Right, but
no. There's some. So
I'm sure
the reason why I'm saying this is there's some kids that will say it for certain teachers.
Oh, for sure.
I'm not just saying like the generalization of teachers. Just on certain teachers, sometimes they'll be like. Because sometimes teachers don't put effort on some of their jobs. Right. I mean, a lot of people in jobs sometimes will not put effort, right? No, and they just do it for the money.
Right.
And I'm assuming there's some teachers out there that would just do it for the money too.
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely out there.
Where did I put my water bottle?
Needs water.
Oh, shit. Hit the mic.
Water's right over there.
Yo, Thomas, you mind passing that water real quick?
Oh, it's over here.
Right here.
I can grab it.
We're good.
But... Yeah, no. What were you saying?
Oh, this is completely off topic. What kind of student do you think is generally the hardest to teach? You know?
Generally, the hardest to teach. I think. I don't know. I mean, I think it's pretty stereotypical, but like the kids that I think that's kind of two things. There's the kids that don't want to be there, right?
Yeah.
Those that I think that's pretty easy. But I think the other kids that are hard is sometimes right the relationship personality basis thing is like if you have a kid you don't jive with like. It's just hard to connect and like, yeah, they still might learn because they're there and they have to.
Mm-hmm.
But
I could tell like there's some kids that would not give a fuck.
Well, yeah,
and
totally.
would not give a fuck about a teacher.
No.
Or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
How would you like reach out to them in a way?
Oh man, let me give you an example. Let's say I was your student, right? Because I can tell you, like specifically for art, right? When I was a kid, I used to hate art.
Mm-hmm. I can vouch for that too. I hate art too.
Like
I suck at that shit.
Fair.
Yeah. My best drawing is a stick figure.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I could draw stick figures shitting at each other. Yeah. Like I'm drawing like some war stuff going on.
So if you were my teacher back at the time I was in school, right, and you were like, okay, let's start this art project. I promise, and you were like, all right, let's start by drawing this. I promise you, I would have been like. Nope.
Screw that.
No. And we get in an argument, might walk out. So that's just to give you my example. How would you deal with me at that time?
Well, it's like so. Initially, I probably would let you walk out. Like the thing is to not make a spectacle out of it. Yeah. Because that I think could, depending on the student, like you then play into it and make it worse.
Exactly. I was just thinking.
And
that.
So you don't make a spectacle out of it. But I think it's a process, right? Like you try and get to know them like. Through the daily, like check in with them. Like I think the biggest thing is that, I don't know, right? Speaking in general, is like some teachers don't like it just comes back to getting to know the person, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
if I would have like take the time, check in with you, try to get to know you, try and find like maybe some sort of connection. That's also where sometimes I'll reach out to teachers that know them more and have had them for companies like, hey, like what are some connection points that you might have or know about them that I could maybe try and reach. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't.
Absolutely.
But I think it's you do the best you can, but it also comes down to, especially with high school kids, is at a certain point you don't give up, but at a certain point if they don't want to make the connection, like
you can't force them.
You can't force it, right? You can't.
Yeah.
And so it's
I don't know. I feel like
I haven't really gone through that too much.
But I feel like somewhere in the future they'll look back at it. Look back at it like oh damn, like this teacher was trying to reach out to me,
right?
And like
so it's like if you did that to me that was the student time, I would be like, oh man, matter of fact, I was wrong about this guy. It was cool, and I would start spilling the beans to you, but I never had teachers to do that. So I think that's awesome. I think that you absolutely is going to change a kid's life just from what you're saying. I think there's a kid out there that's going to remember you for the rest of their life.
Yeah. I agree.
I might already have one, but that's okay.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah.
Would you say I like to refer this back to your high school time? Is high school taught differently now compared to your time in high school?
I feel there's a lot more mental to it now.
You know? I honestly don't remember it. Yes and no. I don't know. It's also it's different. I think the other thing that's weird or different is. So I was actually having a conversation with some of my students on Friday.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple this year, one's a sophomore, one's a senior, that this is their first year in the district at the school. And I'm like, hey, what are some of the differences between where you came from, specifically like academic rigor and like that kind of stuff versus Mercer Island, and getting their perspective on that. And I think it's different. Like one of them said it was harder, one of them said it was easier. I don't know. I think depending on the school, there is probably a little more academic focus and like kind of teaching to the test. Not really, but that I feel like that mentality is kind of coming along. Maybe not. Maybe I'm misconstrued on that, which I don't agree with. Teaching to a test, that's not.
What does that mean specifically?
So, like using Japan as an example, like Japan is all about
passing the test.
Passing a test, like you get through school, you get through. So actually, it's even like there's a lot. So you learn, pass it. Like there's even for public school in Japan, there is a state test or national test you take that like then scores you, kind of like getting like an SAT. To get into high school, and then you say, hey, these are the scores I get, and you apply to different high schools around the city, even public. That's and crazy. Then you do the same thing through high school. You take whether it's 3 or 4 years high school, depending on where you are in the country. The same thing for college. And then you take a test and you apply to colleges, and so you're just teaching to learn, and it's a lot of like memorization. Learn a test, be able to produce a test. Which
gotcha.
Okay,
I think it's happening a little bit in America, kind of. But I think it's more about like not quite to a test, but I definitely see, at least where I'm at, is teaching, not the teaching part, but the kids are more focused on, I need to get good grades to get into a good college.
Yeah, that's good.
So it's kind of the same thing, but more put on the students. And I don't know if that's everywhere. I'm sure that's in a lot of places, but
so back then when you were in high school, it was.
I mean, I think it was like that a little bit,
but it wasn't so heavy on like.
I don't know. I wasn't on myself. I think some of my friends might have been that way, but I don't know. Small town also I feel is a little bit different.
Well, the only reason why I asked that is because this my brother now, he's in elementary school, and I can already tell. Like I went to the same elementary school as he did. I can already tell there's differences in the teachers.
Like what's like one?
Well,
that comes to mind.
I think like the teachers and student bond, like you were talking about, it's more increased.
Oh, good. So like a good thing.
Yeah. And I see that not just in that perspective. I see that in social media a lot too nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Even though I shouldn't let social media influence my mind.
Whatever.
But
but you're right though.
No. It's just I think I see more genuine bonds with teachers and students now. Not just like super like education focused, more just like, hey, like how's your life doing? Are you doing okay? I know you're having a tough patch, I think they're more lenient too about like, you know, tests and stuff about stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, I'm thinking like it's had to have changed. Now we kind of move on to an age where it's all about the mental battles.
Because everyone, I think nowadays, like what you're saying, it's about mental battles. Like everyone like knows more about mental health. Mental health is more recognized now. Depression is heavy. Anger is even more heavy too. Like all the emotions. Even high school students, you know, they're experiencing all these emotions too.
Totally.
Yeah.
As
they're, you know,
even more
hormones
so. Even more so.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So that's why I'm asking you that question, because I see like a difference.
Yeah, I could agree to that too.
From the past.
Totally.
Because if I could ask a lot of like, you know, older folks too about their high school experience, they'll tell me it will be different to compared to
probably
today. They'll say we'll have it easier.
Yeah. My day, Mrs. Crutch-a-lot smacked me with a ruler in my hand. So you're touching on before on kind of the intro phase about how you gotten a lot of help from teachers, you know. And I didn't realize that. I remember going to school. I didn't think that teachers taught each other, help each other out, right? I remember, you know, and I also know that as a student, a lot of kids kind of have this idea that teachers are invincible, especially back then, you know. Now we know it's not the case, you know.
Yeah.
What do you
mean? Zach is invincible, bro.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely, Superman. You know, but when you're not in your Superman mode, right? When you're Clark Kent, right?
Yeah.
Who helps you get through these kind of things, you know?
So, I mean, I don't know. I think it's right. I have like there's 3 of us in the art department, so that's one thing, and then also because it's right, I teach design now plus mainly photography, so you're also under the CTE stuff, and so then I have all those teachers that I can kind of lean on.
So teachers do help teachers.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, just like anything in life, where as long as you're willing to try and make those connections and have that, I totally could like self-isolate and not.
Well,
get
you
help
know,
from teachers.
that's funny.
But,
Yeah.
That's funny that you ask, and what you're saying is because us students back in high school, or probably students nowadays, right now to you guys, would not realize that because we're always in class. We never see you guys
Right,
walk out of
no.
class to interact with other teachers,
Yeah.
or because most of the time we're focused on doing our own thing.
Right.
We don't know that teachers are like talking to each other,
Oh,
or
yeah.
even having lunch with
Totally.
each other and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So that is why we're grabbing their perspective.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
perfect because we wouldn't know that you guys would go.
No,
No,
idea.
it's. I mean, like even it's right. I think it's school by school, but like
Honestly,
there's-
thought none of my teachers talk to each other.
Same. So I'm saying.
Well, no,
Hey,
but I don't know. I'm sure there's some are, but like I know like in my school, like there's on Wednesdays I eat lunch with because there's like off period lunches, like
Right,
lunch
right.
A, lunch B. So Wednesdays I finally have lunch B, and so there's like a group of like 10 to 15 of us that'll sit and have lunch.
No,
That's
but
awesome.
that's the
Hang
thing.
out.
But
Yeah.
us
Or like
students,
outside
that's
of
awesome.
work,
But
like
us
we'll go and have a drink,
yeah,
or
but
like we'll
us
go
students,
do stuff.
us students would not know
Right,
that
no.
because I expect my teachers just not talk to each other.
Right.
Go home, grade homework, have a miserable life or something
No.
like
Yeah,
that.
same. I'm thinking
That's one of
Yeah.
the biggest misconceptions from me too.
Yeah.
So that's why that's cool that you know
Yeah.
from a perspective of a teacher that you
Yeah.
guys have these outside life, even hang out with each other as coworkers and stuff like that. Having
Totally.
even like some type of friendship and bondship, which is great to know.
Being a teacher
Even for
is not,
students too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not as dreary as we think it to be.
They're
No.
not as evil as you think they
No,
are.
we're not.
Misconception.
we're not.
They are humans too.
Yes.
They don't
They are
have no
humans too.
mastermind.
No.
Man,
No.
I remember thinking that all these teachers are making mine. What do I look like caring for them? You know, now yeah.
Yeah.
What challenges do you face as a teacher?
Challenges. I don't know. I think the biggest thing is still content for me. Trying to figure out what I want to teach, like especially this year, like this semester doing graphic design. As much as I know it, it's like there's so many things you could teach, and so it's like picking what you want to teach. How important getting into the nitty gritty versus just exposing students to it because they're in high school, not in college. I don't know. Like that's a thing. There's the struggle of like in my school particularly, like that push for getting good grades and like there's a weird thing where the student population, this probably happens in other places too, I definitely know we're not the only one, is like the mentality that a B is a bad grade, or the B, like not even that, like a B I failed. Like they got a B on a test, and like, man, I failed.
You know
that
what's
test.
funny?
I'm like, no, you didn't fail the test.
Back
You got
in high
a
school,
B.
back in high school, everyone will be like, "B? I got a B?
Right.
I got a B?
Right. I mean,
Like, well, why not an A?"
I think that's school to school, but like there are definitely schools like that. But like
Well,
in my
like,
school,
even
a
like
B
a
is like
s-
fail. I'm like, what the hell?
even like a C.
A C is like what,
the
70, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's the most concerning letter for everyone.
Yeah.
I got a C.
You bring a C. Some families you bring a C to your parent.
Right.
It's crazy. 70%.
No.
That means even it's 3 out of 10 questions. Like, come on, now.
What's the failing grade again? If you don't
F.
F.
So
Which
it's
is
59%. So
Yeah,
if you're going
that's
out of
fair.
100, where a B is like anywhere from like 81 to 89.
Look, for those parents and kids out there watching this, don't overstress about, know, like getting a B or C. Like,
C's get degrees. It's a
yeah.
thing for a reason.
you guys are over concerned. Like, you can't be perfect. Like, it's okay to be not perfect. And
How
not,
about for scholarships, though? Can you still get scholarships offers with
I mean,
C's
I
and
think
B's?
so. But that also comes into like where you want to go to college.
well, scholarships,
or
they aren't there like essay based too?
I think so. I
Yeah.
don't know as much about that process, but it's
That's what Honk said.
Okay. That's what he's talking about, the letter.
Yeah.
Letter. I forgot. But
Scholarships, yeah.
okay.
Because he said that he had a friend that did a bunch of essay to apply
Yeah.
the
He just
scholarship.
kept
Yeah,
sending
that
them
makes
out.
sense.
Okay.
That makes sense. But
So let's say there's like 30 students in your class for your first period. How easy is it to connect with all 30? At what percentage can you connect with all of them?
what percentage? Realistically, I probably connect with, I don't know. Like, I know all of them by name, right? But I want to say out of 30 kids, I probably realistically connect with like 10
That's high.
ish.
Higher than I thought.
Maybe that's like if the kids are receptive.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably closer to like 5 out of 30, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
That's still pretty high.
That's still because I always think that
I don't know.
for every
Maybe
teacher,
I'm overshooting, but
I thought some teacher would just have like one pet student.
I think like the average teacher, how I think it was like the average teacher usually has nobody they connect with, but for above average teacher they can have one, and for the greater teachers that's when it increases. You know?
Yeah, and I don't know. I think that makes sense, but also I think
have you tried reaching out of the 20 other students too?
I mean, I try, and it's one of those things where
they're not receptive.
Well, it's not that. It's to me, I think it comes down to like personality or how much they want to connect with you. I guess which plays into reception, but I don't know.
Can't just force the bond.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I also think that like what I would say is as an art teacher, I have more time to just like sit and interact with them because I'm not. I want to say like only 25% of my time or less is instruction, and the rest of it's like work time and checking in and seeing how they're doing or giving advice or working with them and if they have questions. So like having that extra time, I can kind of get to know them more, even if it's like on the surface level.
You know what's funny? I have an art teacher that would just be behind his computer the whole time.
Oh, there are some of those that do. I do have those days.
Okay.
No, it's fine. There's days,
but like the whole year. The whole year he would not make bonds or like talk to any student. Like only if like the student comes up to him like or like, hey, can you come help me over here? But like they would just be on the computer the whole time.
Yeah, I remember his teachers that had that, and they had like a rule where it's like, no, you don't raise hands. You come up to me and I'll answer it. Like they wouldn't come to you. I've had teachers like that.
Yeah,
that's them. No, that's them. Not this great man.
Every teacher has their own philosophy. Well, no, and I think there's some value in that because I think one of the teachers in my school, their big thing is, I mean, they of course do what I do, but their big thing is like putting the onus on the students to like make like they'll ask a question about like something dumb about like a due date or something like this, and like go check Schoology.
Gotcha.
To like do the online stuff and like go check Schoology. Like
putting
the onus on them,
teaching them like common sense,
kind of stuff. Not that of course that they don't go help, but I think
being able to just take the initiative yourself is a huge thing growing up
to do that, right? Because some just don't.
I have a crazy question, because I feel like not a lot of kids do this, but. How often do students ask you for help or advice or even life advice?
So advice about like work, I don't know, it's fairly often, especially I think what helps is fostering, even if it's just a surface level relationship, like, hey, I know you, you know me, I'm open and I'll take any question. Like, so I'd say at least, I don't know, every student comes to me at least once or twice with a question throughout the semester. So to me, in my book, that's like a win because they feel like I know them well enough. Hit the mic again. That they're willing to come up to me and ask a question. Life advice, I think that more comes into like kids that like really well. Like I definitely do have at least probably one or two in every class that like they'll chat with me about their life, or some kids it's just that they are anyway. They just talk and don't care who's listening. But and they'll like ask me about like some of people about like relationships. Sometimes it's kind of funny just to hear like relationships of like high school kids, and you're like, well, you should do this. And I'm like, they're like, yeah, I know, but and I'm like, oh, come on, just And right? It's like it's a wisdom and age thing. Right?
What about like adult like advice, like when they grow up, like after high school?
After high school,
type of stuff.
I don't know. I think there's a few. I mean, granted, right, for me, it's only been a couple years, but I think from what I know of like other teachers, like there's definitely like kids that will come back or stay in touch or that kind of thing.
There's not many students that really care about their outside future, besides college.
Well, that's why I'm asking that question, because I'm curious about other students and how like they reach out to the teachers or because like I like to refer back to my time in school now, because back then I would not like to be dependent on any teachers.
Right.
That's probably why I didn't do so good in school, because I didn't feel a bond with a teacher unless I feel like I'm not sorry. Don't let me reword it. Not all my teachers I don't bond.
Right.
there's some teachers I do bond well with, and they're able to help me. But it's just that there's some teachers I don't feel comfortable asking questions.
Which is fine.
Yeah. And I think that kind of led me on my downfall on my studies in school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could say 100%. There was not a single teacher that I felt connected to. So this for you guys. But actually, before I even get to that, do you think that most teachers that you work with, they're okay with kids coming to them for life advice specifically, things to get them
That's
going?
A good question. Yeah.
Before I even address the audience.
I don't know. I want to say yes. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's also a part of teaching, right? Like, it's not, you're teaching them whatever your content area is, but like you're also teaching them how to be an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what they need to learn
before
they get out in the world, before they get to college, like things that they need to learn. And like, I think
what's so funny
that's
though?
huge.
All these kids ask why isn't our school teaching us about taxes and stuff like that?
Yeah.
No,
and about loans and about loans and about paying houses, paying a car, paying
There's gotta be so many
insurance,
factors into that, man.
Why? So this is my big question about why are so. Kids kind of know some of these things, right? And I'm asking, that's why I'm asking, have they reached out to you about any of these questions? But also now I'm going to ask you, why haven't our school taught us any of these things?
You're about to ask him to controversy.
Okay, so there's a few reasons why. I think part of it comes down to a couple being getting a teacher to teach it.
Right.
Prioritizing what... So this is the school or the school board or whoever is making all the decisions. Mm-hmm. My guess is that it comes down to getting a teacher. Do they think that that's important? I think sometimes it comes down to, depending on the district, right? Sometimes your school board and parents have sway, and if parents don't think something is important, you're not going to teach it, kind of a thing. Maybe. I think that, I don't know. Plus also it's, I don't know, it's not the most interesting thing to teach, but it needs to be taught. But also it's I don't know, I'm guessing, but I'm guessing that's not a required course. Because at least by Washington's standards, the classes you're required to take to graduate in the state of Washington, that's not a required course. Yeah. It would be an elective. And so it's and kids don't want to
take
opt to learn into it as much as they should learn it. Yeah. It's not a required class, even if the school offers it in the first place, because not every school does.
You know what I think?
It's not required.
It's just crazy because, okay, after high school, we're thrown out to be adults.
Yeah.
But what the fuck are we supposed to do besides college or joining the military? Exactly. No offense.
Do what you did.
No. But that's the thing. Not a lot of kids will have a teacher that tell you straightforward.
They have no idea
to what to do. So,
I can tell you.
It's crazy because a lot of kids are thrown out in the world. And besides college or military, they don't know what the fuck to do, and then they get into crazy debt.
Yep, for whatever stupid reason.
What do you think about this idea right here? Because most kids, right, once they turn 18, 19, 20, that's when they start thinking about the money. That's when they start wanting to learn about financial stuff. So what if schools start implementing a system where after they graduate, 18 to 19-year-olds could come back and then come in for some extra type of curriculums for finances, money management, taxes, if they wanted to, but it's always open and going throughout the year.
I think they should just implement it when you're 18 in your senior year.
Yeah, but at the same time,
there's probably some legal stuff behind that. I don't know all the legal stuff.
Okay.
But the other thing is right.
We're just asking you big questions.
Well, no. The thing that pops out.
I'm just curious from a teacher's perspective.
I don't know if this answer is right, but the thing that pops out into my brain is that education is legally required through 18, and then after that, it's not really a legal requirement anymore.
Yeah.
Right. That's also a big thing of kids have to be in the classroom because you're legally required.
And
to be there
who's gonna pay the teacher to do this?
Right. If it's So to me, that comes down to a money issue or if the school has the resources to have that kind of a class. That's why I'm
saying it should be implemented when you're a senior year.
Well, right. I think that would just be a great thing to add for a requirement from it's state by state, but a required course.
Well, it's just really sad to see a lot of these kids get in debt, having a child or not knowing what to do, being homeless after 21, 20, and getting kicked out of their family's house, but not knowing what to do after that.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of there's a lot of things that come towards what I'm trying to say, but it's just I feel like I think it'll be nice to have something that's taught when we're thrown out into the real world.
It's also gonna be hard to get kids to participate in that. That's the whole thing that you was talking about before.
Well,
Is
that's
the
the
balance.
thing. That's the thing. They need to bring people in to talk about situations like this.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. They don't know.
Well, here's my whole idea.
They think, college is college. The thing is that I feel like school's been implementing that college is the next route, when sometimes it's not the right path for the next for some of these students.
Not at all.
That's why I got the idea that they could always come back, because most people, right, when they turn 18, 19, or 19, 20, that's when they're like, oh crap, I need to learn about these financial things. So they're gonna want to learn. They're actively gonna go back and do it if they really have that problem.
Right.
So I think that's a jackpot personally, but you're saying it's illegal things. It doesn't have the money required.
I think it's a jackpot, but it just doesn't work out in the real world.
You're right.
For money reasons and like what Zach was saying, after 18 they can't do that. Yeah. It would have to be a course in college at that point, to be honest, right? Yeah,
pretty much. And then you got to pay to take that.
Ain't that crazy? Get in debt to learn how to not be in debt.
Exactly.
Welcome to corporate America.
Oh, that's crazy. So getting back on participations and just getting back to the high school subject, how do you even get kids to participate? Because there's a lot of kids or students that just don't want to participate. How do you even nudge someone that clearly doesn't want to participate? How do you get them into it? Man,
I don't know. I still don't know.
Yeah, it's fair. You can just 2 years.
I mean, it's 2 years. Like I have kids that do that. Honestly, don't know. I think
it's more like playing a waiting game, waiting for them to
waiting game, or
I think it's just a way. It's just a way to like learn from trials and tribulations too.
Right.
From your experience.
Yeah.
Also, like you can care about these kids and show that you care.
But they ain't gonna care about
sometimes,
you.
yeah,
right. No,
but sometimes you gotta let them fail.
Yep.
And to know
it's true.
Yeah.
Like I think that's a big thing, and I think
I
think it's happening in some places around the states of like not letting kids fail, like trying to make it so they don't fail, so that they don't get lost in the system.
Well, they need to feel. I feel like in reality, in the real world that we live in, outside of high school too, you're gonna need to learn how to fail. And get yourself back up and to not fail.
You grow more from mistakes than you do rewards.
And I think that's very important for high school kids too. Before entering the real world, you gotta learn how to fail in high school.
Yeah.
And if you fucked up, you gotta get yourself back up.
Absolutely.
And high school is the best place to learn how to fail because right in high school, like you can get an F, and you can probably still graduate.
But you're right though. Now it's like you can't have the feeling of failing though. It's just like getting a B. It's like you already failed. I don't like that's the one sense I don't get too.
I don't either. It doesn't make sense. But that's why I think you need to fail in high school versus because I say this all the time to my students, and then they're like, and I think a lot of the teachers at my school, probably a lot of schools say this is like, yeah, you just need to learn how to fail and rather have you do it now. So the big part that I say that like they hear on repeat and they just kind of buzz out now. I was like, yeah, I'd rather have you fail now because once you fail in the real world, you're going to lose your job. You're not going to make money.
The consequences are real.
The consequences are worse. Where in high school, you can still get through and be fine.
Exactly. There's always a way to work around in high school. But once you're in the real world, it's gonna affect you.
Doors start closing.
Yeah. And that's worse.
The door is open in high school, but once you're in the real world, it's gonna close. Hey, any students out there, take that advice because once you're out in the real world, it's gonna be different. It's not gonna be the same in high school.
And this ain't to scare you. This is more so to motivate you that try something that you're uncomfortable with.
This is also coming from a teacher's perspective.
This is someone that hates school and a teacher and someone that don't like college telling you this. This is three different perspectives.
I did not like school, so I just did it to pass by.
Yeah, I'm a whole dropout telling you this.
To not get my mom to whip my ass.
She do that?
Yeah.
Knowing your mom?
Shit, she'll whip your ass if you don't go to school.
Oh man.
I remember I skipped one time. She's like, "Why weren't you there? I got an email."
That's crazy.
Until I turn 18, I can write my own excuses. Augustine was sick. Augustine.
Yep.
Done.
What biggest advice have you ever given to one of your students?
Biggest advice I've given. Man.
That might just come hand to hand with the biggest question you've gotten too.
Yeah.
Man, there's something on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it's the biggest advice, but I think the funniest thing to teach kids is how to work the system.
And
then
like the
school
system?
like school system or just the system in general of like the little thing of like they don't want to be in class and they just want to go wander the halls. And if they say that, of course I'm going to say no.
Right.
But if they ask, can I go use the restroom? You can say no, but 9 times out of 10, a teacher will be like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
And then they could be gone for however the hell long they want. And depending on the teacher or the school, like whatever the consequences may be. But like, it's like the little things of how to game the system like that, right? That gets into like workplace of like looking like you're on task without being on task. Or like figuring out, and then because I literally will do this all the time, and some of my students are like, Mr. Corbin, you shouldn't be teaching us this. And I'm like, well, I'd rather have you learn it now than get fired at a job for not knowing how to do this in real life.
I think that is good.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, yeah, it's awesome. Because when you think, you're giving them a choice. You can choose this or this. And because a lot of kids just like to purposely do the opposite of what someone would say or what
at least you're giving them the real thing too.
Yeah. So once they like sit down, like, oh snaps, wait, I can skip it or I can go learn. When they choose to learn, you just change the person's mindset. You know.
Right.
What advice would you give out to an aspiring teacher?
An aspiring teacher
who wants to be a teacher too.
Don't. No, I'm kidding. Not kidding.
Advice. Man, I don't. It's.
I think one of the advice that you gave out was pretty big. Bond with your students.
Yeah, bond with your students.
And you said work balance.
Work balance, bond with students. I don't know, just
not using the textbook.
Not using.
No, only the textbook. No.
Well, that it's. What was I gonna say? I feel like educators in general are also lifelong students in their own right, and so just being willing to keep learning. I think don't be stuck in what you think you know, because as time moves on, like culture wise, everything changes and moves, and so like you're probably gonna have to change your curriculum and learn new things, and like some teachers get stuck and don't want to teach new things to the new culture that's out there, and I think be open to change, right? I think
that's huge.
There we go.
I can think of like a few teachers who like I went to school my brothers went to, and they're teaching the same exact thing that my brothers learned, and it's all from some old head teacher, and it just ain't working. You're right.
Or like some of the textbooks that teachers have are like some of them have been rewritten and they're still like from 1990.
They're outdated.
Yeah. Right.
I had a textbook that was way outdated.
Right.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about for advice for teachers that are stressing? Because this is a stressful job.
That is true, yeah.
How about it is a stressful job. My biggest advice for teachers that are stressing is don't worry about it. What doesn't get done will eventually get done. The students won't know any wiser.
Hey, I like that.
Right?
Like that, yeah.
Like what if you don't if you are stressed, like, and your lesson doesn't go the perfect way that you want it to go, the students aren't going to know that's what you wanted. The students aren't going to know the difference between what it could have been and what it was.
Yeah.
And so like just roll with the punches. I know not everybody's laid back and can do that, but
don't be afraid to fail.
Don't be afraid to fail. Like it's I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
How do you personally balance your life with with school and teaching?
I basically just kind of do that. I probably should do more than what I do, but I basically clock out at 3:15, 3:30 every day because that's 3:15 is contract hours for me, and go home. Right. Some days I'll stay extra and grade, or if I'll bring my laptop home and grade over the weekend or lesson plan a little bit, but.
So it's not exactly a set schedule. Like for how you do things.
Right.
So like when you leave, you kind of just based on more so like how you feel or what kind of assignments need to get done.
Right. Or if stuff needs to be graded, which I'm also behind on right now, but that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
So just gonna play.
Also, now you're playing soccer and basketball.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to be more active now these days,
and then sometimes you hang out with us.
Yes.
So the balance is important.
Yeah.
But how? So you're talking about like planning your class. Earlier. How do you exactly do that? Like, do you do that like a year before?
Oh God.
Do we do it like a semester before?
In theory, yes. Honestly, it's literally week by week. Sometimes it's literally like I did a lesson plan. Here, kids, I did a lesson plan last week with the new assignment that was for graphic design class. And I literally, like, I knew what I wanted to do generally. And, like, for that, I kind of found, like, a book that I've been using to, like, kind of base some stuff off of.
Yeah.
I literally did it the night before.
Hey, just keep in mind, guys, teachers are just like like us.
Teachers are the worst procrastinators.
They're just like everyone else in the world.
Yeah,
That you guys are expecting, like,
like you expecting like golden people, you know?
Yeah, expecting like they're evil, but they're not.
Or
they're,
evil,
they're just like us.
They just like me for real, man.
Yeah.
So I had a next question, but you kind of already answered it because we're talking about like the teachers work, like you guys will hang out with each other and stuff like that, and you guys would have meetings, right?
Right.
That's great.
What was the question then?
No, that was great. Because you didn't answer my question about that. Yeah.
Okay. I got a question for you, Augustine. You ever had a teacher that takes pride in failing students?
Whoa.
Teachers that take pride failing students.
You ever had a teacher who's like,
I do.
My last year's class, I failed most of them. It's gonna be hard to pass my class.
Yeah, I did.
I've had a lot of that. What do you
I am not gonna lie.
Huh.
We shared one.
She's a BITCH.
Oh, I know we shared one. She was a social studies teacher. Remember, she always wore all black.
The goth one.
Yeah, that goth teacher. Remember how she said it? Wasn't it her?
I don't think that was her.
Would she like tell that to y'all?
Nah, was she the fun one?
She was the chill one.
Okay, wait, who am I? I thought we had both. No, she was the only teacher that we shared, wasn't she?
No, we had
and the science teacher, the bald science teacher.
Yeah,
and he was cool. Okay, we might not shared one, but I can think of a lot of teachers that I don't remember.
No, I had a teacher back in Roosevelt. Yeah. She was crazy. I just don't want to express anymore.
Okay, fair enough.
That's her like own personal life, and I don't want to. But
yeah, if you know it's specific,
discredit her. But she was not very helpful for me.
She was very chill.
Yeah. She was not chill.
She was not chill. Yeah, she was not a part of the vibe. But hey, how do you feel about that whole thing about teachers doing that? If you can speak on that, without putting anybody down,
boasting about giving Fs.
Yeah, failing students is making it harder than it needs to pass their classes on purpose for the sake of it being harder, not for learning.
I think that's a little bullshit. I don't think I know any. I haven't heard of any teachers at my school that do that. Mm-hmm. But no, that defeats the purpose of learning, right? No, it's a load of bullshit.
Well, the thing is that the teacher that I had kind of just made me feel bad about myself and made me feel like shit. Yeah. And then so my friend was going through something. Yeah. And then she was just on my ass about it. Like why does it matter to you? Like that's his life, and that's something personal. Like you can't be that intrusive as a teacher, She's like, oh, he was in my class, and it happened in my class. I was like, that doesn't matter. No, like that's his life.
I can remember stuff like that.
Huh?
I can think it's like if you were to mention like, oh, my cousin went here, and then they start roasting your cousin, like, oh, he was the worst dude. I can think of times like that. Yeah.
Really?
It's just like it's unnecessary. Like if you're trying, like someone's going through something personal life, and they don't want to tell you specifically. The teacher shouldn't have forced you to tell you.
No.
Well, I didn't tell her out of the way.
Right.
She's like, oh, I'm gonna keep his backpack here.
Really?
I'm just trying to bring it to my friend.
God. Like, she was crazy.
I was like, there's no need for you to act like this. She's like, I'm gonna keep it she was like literally threatening me. If you're not gonna tell me, I'm gonna keep it. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm gonna leave.
It sounds like she didn't have a good work-life balance.
No,
it sounds like she didn't have a good work-life balance.
No one liked her at all. No one liked her at all. God. I promise you that no one liked her. I think she still works there. Yeah.
Yikes.
Ouch.
So, this is a little bit personal, this question, but this is like for those out there who wants to become a teacher, what are the benefits of that are offered in your profession?
Benefits of being a teacher.
Besides like the students, like teaching them and like, you know, like the actual like,
summers
like,
off.
Okay.
Like, how can you not like summers off?
Mm-hmm. What about the 401k and stuff like that?
I think from what I know about it, I don't really pay attention to my financials as much as I should. But I mean, I think, right? I mean, like pay-wise, you get a decent pay scale. The at least from state of Washington, the 401k and stuff has been, from what I know about it, is pretty good.
Insurance.
Insurance is good, right? Like all of that's, like you're taken care of well on that end. I think.
Okay.
Right. I mean, considering you get summers, like days off isn't too bad.
Yeah, it's just cool. You still get paid during summer, right?
It depends on the school. Okay. So some schools pay you just during the school year. It's still the same amount as a yearly salary, but they do it within that 9 months. Or some schools will pay you through the summer, and so they break it up to fill the summertime. So it's still the same amount.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, it's just.
Cool. How about like mental changes? How is being a teacher change your person? So I feel like, you know, knowing yourself as a person that's guiding people can kind of change you. You know?
Oh yeah, I guess that makes a little bit of sense. I don't know. I think it makes you a little more self-aware in a way, or definitely, I mean, for those that want to. I think some teachers, right, are stuck in their ways sometimes. Yeah. But I think especially in this day and age with like all of the social climate that's going on right now, like if you're willing to put in that time to be then self-aware of how you are and then how you interact with others, and like, right, the big thing is like, pronouns.
Yeah, it's like the thing, you got to be open to change, like you said earlier. Yeah. And
like the biggest thing, like, I mean, I don't know, it's not the biggest thing, but easiest thing to come to mind right now is the whole thing with pronouns, and like just being open to like, all right, this is how the person identifies, this is how I'm going to address them, this is who they are. It's just a respect thing, I think. And so it's being aware of all of those things and conscious of it. And I don't know if that answers your question, but
have you ever dealt with any like students that will have you ever dealt with any students that, like, you know, go out of hand?
Get out of hand?
Yeah, where you have to be like, hey, you gotta go to the principal office.
No.
Really?
No. I'm very fortunate that the school I work at has a very, very nice, not nice is a weird word, a really good school climate of, I mean, granted, it's a we'll just call it is. It's a rich and white neighborhood. So, right, you have that kind of mentality behind things. So I've been really fortunate with that. There's been some instances of not principal's office, but just like kids being kids and not being socially aware of like what they should or shouldn't be doing.
Fair enough.
And just be like, hey, we need to go talk in the hallway because they're just not contemplating what's going on and then giving them some advice.
So you had some conversations in the hallway,
right? Like once or twice, yeah. Not too often though, but
have you had troubles with like students giving you a hard time?
It's got it.
Not
even once.
Not like physical stuff. Not like confrontational stuff.
Yeah. Well, did the students be fighting teachers often?
I mean, not at my school.
So he's saying that he doesn't get like that from his school.
Yeah, he
not from my school. Other schools, from what I've heard from other teachers, like I know teachers in other schools. I'm like, like my cousin. For a while was doing some tutoring at some of the schools around the city, and like he would talk about how like one day the school had to shut down for a little bit because there was a fight or like something happened or the police got called in or like
for all
I'm super fortunate, but that shit still happens.
My school, there's been shootings around. Someone brought a gun,
right?
A knife, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I know it happens all over. Especially I feel like Seattle's getting worse.
Yep.
In terms of that regard.
Recent news, there's 2 teenagers, 16, around the age of 16, that got shot and was dumped in a ditch in the exit of Lake City, I believe.
Oh, over in Lake City?
Mm-hmm.
Shit.
And that is around Seattle area.
Yeah.
Age of 16. Both high schoolers.
That's too bad. Rest in peace them, man.
That's crazy how the day of age of Seattle is like that. Like crime has gone up. And
that's funny because I didn't think about it now, but like that's so my family here is like that's like that was their thing when I was like, hey, I was thinking to move to Seattle. They're like, no, to move here.
Yeah.
Because of that shit. Well, the whole crime and the homelessness, like not that the crime was too bad, but like it's getting a little worse here and there.
Well, I want to say
drugs,
crime back then when I was like what, like let's say when I was 10,
right? Middle school and high school.
Yeah, no, middle school was bad.
Was it
before middle school? No, before elementary school, I would say it was better.
Crime?
Yeah, it wasn't as crazy as right now.
Well, I just feel like there wasn't.
I think after COVID too,
totally made it worse.
Absolutely.
So earlier I said like a teacher's misconception of teachers making money. But there's also there's a thing there's out there, the Seattle Public School. There's teachers are not making money and they're doing like the march, like they're marching and stuff, protesting.
I think, man, why is... I don't remember the why. I think part of it comes down to COVID. I think, well, I guess from the COVID angle, at least from what I know, is that, I don't know if all schools did this, but I think some districts, what happened, right, is districts have, in a general, this like surplus fund, like their backup money, right? Like most places do. And then when COVID hit, they had to dip into that backup fund to try and keep things going. And they didn't do enough to replenish that backup fund. And so then they have to lay off people. They have to cut programs. Like I think what up in like Shoreline District, like they cut sports, all sports everywhere. Like there's no sports. I don't know if that's still true. I think that's true. But like that sort of a thing is happening. So like then also comes down to like teachers' pay raise, because every year in theory teachers should get some sort of pay raise to stay current with inflation and everything. Yeah. And so when it doesn't go their way and teachers, like, you get strikes.
Right.
Like we didn't have a strike. We had a really long bargain, not for this school year, but last year. Like I think we didn't technically have the salary set until, I'm probably exaggerating, but like October, November of that year. And usually it happens like mid to early summer. Right. And so that's when you get like strikes and all these things that happen. And
so personally, do you think teachers get paid enough?
I don't think so. I think it's a couple of things. It's no, because of living in a city. That also is parts of the, but also because the amount of mental strain, not strain, but the amount of mental fortitude and things that it takes to be a teacher and all the extra stuff you do. Or like, I know some teachers that like, they do extra clubs and activities, and then the stipend they get for doing it is like minuscule. Like it's a stipend, but like, right, like whether it's,
well, also like some of these teachers go through a lot of bullshit too. Like
that's what
breaking up fights and stuff like that.
Teaching is one of those jobs where you have to do things that are outside of your requirements.
Easy.
All the time. So it's like, how are they getting paid less? The jobs that anyway.
Well, there's things that you do that aren't even on your paid. Like,
that you have
your
to
job
do.
description.
That you literally have to do it, and they're not even required.
You're gonna get like students talking shit in front of your face and cussing you out.
Well, that's all that, but
smacking you around.
That's just ratchet kids, but there's even more than that. Like,
no, I mean it's just there is more than
meetings,
that.
like grading, like doing activities and things outside of your payday. Like, there's a lot.
What should students know as teachers?
What should students know as teachers? From what hasn't been said already. Shit. I don't know.
If not, what teachers should know about students?
I don't know. Like I guess it kind of comes back to like, well, we said a little bit earlier. Like, this goes both ways, but like, we're all people, right? Whether it's like kids knowing that teachers are people too. They're not just there at school all day. They have feelings. They have their own lives. They can't always be at your beck and call to do things like getting random emails on the weekend about something, or like asking, hey, can you grade this because you haven't graded it yet and I really need an A. Like, no. I'm not on the clock. I can't be doing this 24/7.
I think a lot of these kids take teachers for granted too, because like
some of them do,
they don't.
when I was going to school, most of them did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They think they're just there just to be there.
Right.
But I think some teachers doing much more than that.
100%.
What does your school district specifically do to kind of help out with students that want to take art as a direction?
What do we do specifically?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't know. I think it's more about us teachers kind of putting in the effort to get to know those kids and help them out. I think like it's whether that's helping them out with portfolios, giving them letters of rec. Like it's kind of the small stuff, but it's also like helping them out when they do. Like, so I had a student who technically I think it's an outside school club. Don't get me off the hook for this, but they wanted, he's a photographer, and he needed to get some stuff printed to put in a gallery over in Korea. And so I was like, hey, yeah, I'll print a couple photos for you, since you didn't have the money to go get them printed somewhere else. Okay. And so like we're being willing to work with them and give them opportunities to help them out when they need it, so that they can do stuff. That's awesome. Right? Or it's it's making the connections ourselves to know who to talk to. Right. Yeah. Or it's the other thing that I think about is making connections with other artists or colleges, so that when kids want to do things, you have someone you can direct them to. Yeah. Like, I think, not that I've known two people, but I know that one of my co-teachers, like Comic-Con was a month and a half ago or whatever, a month ago. And her big thing, I go to Comic-Con and make connections, but like her big thing is like going to Comic-Con, meeting the local artists, and then using them as a resource to bring them in or have them as connection points for kids that want to do that kind of art or do different things. That's awesome. And so it's like networking, it's being willing, being open, it's putting in that extra time, right? Which, when you have kids that want to do something, we're more likely to say, heck yeah, let's do it. Because if they're excited, we're going to be excited, because
that's something you're into.
Yeah, so show y'all passions.
Right. Yeah. Show y'all passions. Show the passions, right? And it's not just like my classroom, that's right. I mean, anything, but like I think about like our the video department, or we have a really big radio program over there, or just like, I mean, anything. Like our CT department is totally gung-ho with helping kids out, and I think a lot of teachers, from what I know, even like all the other departments, I'll talk with them, like, yeah, and they like have all these things they do with their kids, and awesome. It's just being willing to put in that extra effort, right? Like I said.
All right, to wrap, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, my bad. How important are programs and clubs, activities for these students? You know, do you think a school that has 0 clubs is less worth than a school that has all these clubs and activities for students to go to?
I don't know if it's worse. I think it's nice to have the social stuff, and I think it's
good for the kids to reach out to other kids to just share the same subject too.
Right, or it's like meet new people, right? Exactly. It's a social thing too, and because you never know who you might meet that you wouldn't have in class.
And it's good for those teachers who want to teach more too. Yeah. And inspire students or kids to go ahead of themselves to do better or whatever they're trying to get into.
For sure.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Just want to knock him out. So I don't know if you probably know, right? When I say the word suburbia, right? Or, is that what it's called? Yeah. You think of like how it's hard for people to connect, right? How are students able to connect with people outside of school, right? Because they don't have no one to drive around. Most roads you can't walk on because they don't have sidewalks in Seattle mainly, or it's not like they have school buses that can take them anywhere outside of school. You know, they can't just hop on the bus. I mean, they can, but they'll do it. Crazy people. How do you know of like a third party place where kids can meet at and just, get to know people?
That's a great question.
Yeah, man. No, the funny thing is that when you said that, it makes me think about they're just meeting at parties.
Well, part of it is that.
Because as a high school student, this is where that most aged people experience parties and going out and drinking.
It's true.
Yeah. And majority of the times, from my past experience, I go out to these things called Spodies. It's like a gathering for all high school students, not just my high school. It goes from like different high schools, like several other high schools. Sometimes it reach all the way to the South End too. Yeah. Okay. But I think that's just in high school in general, though.
Right.
Yeah. I was more so like hoping for something more like, can they go to like some type of YMCA or can they go to something?
I think there are things out there. I I'd have to ask my students. This is probably a better question for them than for me. But from what I know, I think like there are stuff like that. There is. I know some of my students are involved with. Shit, what's it called? I don't know. There's some like young. I don't think
Boys
it's
and
called.
Girls Club.
Like
maybe in the next pod we'll get a high school teacher. I mean, not high school student
coming over.
Get your best student.
You're asking a high school student question to a teacher.
Right, no, I mean, I think there is stuff out there, and
well, it's just like I don't
know what they
extra.
That's something that
extra shit.
you're not required to know.
Yeah.
I was just hoping like maybe you heard a rumor or something.
Like you do taekwondo, you meet other kids.
Well, yeah,
you do like basketball outside of school, you meet other kids.
So
it's something simple like that.
Right.
Yeah, for you kids out there, and you got your passions, go find places where you can do them, because then you will meet other people that like it too. Don't just stay in your house all day.
Learn to do that now, because when you're old, shit's hard.
It's gonna get real hard.
Or you can just find friends.
That's easier said than done. But
it is. I'm just joking, by the way. It's harder to find friends, real friends too.
Yes.
So to wrap this up, the whole teachers thing. I know you're an art teacher, but how can we inspire the future adults with your subject in school? It could be like maybe with like history that has to do with art, or like some passion, some strive,
freehanding.
Like
how can we influence these kids with your subject into the next world?
How can we influence kids with art?
Doesn't have to be art, but like, you know, what you're teaching in art too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's any different than like what it's been forever. I think in general, like teaching art is about expression, right? Mm-hmm. There's other things you learn, but like it's about learning to be okay with showing who you are, and I don't know, developing that. I think that's huge. I think that's not everyone does that, and I think it's I don't know, willing to put in the work to do it is the other thing. I think, but you can kind of apply that to a lot of stuff. Whether that's like, right, art takes time, or like looking at like sports, like learning a sport takes time, but it's that discipline of learning how to do the process, I think, is the biggest thing.
Okay.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, it's good. Yeah. Answer.
Okay, so wrapping it up, do we think teaching is the most underrated job?
Most underrated job?
It's top 5 for me.
I would agree. It's up there. Like I think between teaching, I don't know, for some reason my friend what?
Nothing.
I don't know enough about military. I'm not gonna knock it. I think the other thing, because my friend's a doctor, I think the doctor, as weird as it sounds, there's a lot of parallels.
Okay.
Military is a big one too, though.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. If you listen to our Navy military podcast, you'll understand why.
Yeah.
We'll not say much about it, but go check it out.
It's a great listen.
Should we give teachers more credit than they deserve?
100%.
Yeah.
They put in, for the teachers, like I said, they're worth their salt. They put in a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of brain power. Like it's a very, definitely very, like the stereotype of it's, oh man, what am I trying to get at?
That you guys aren't as invincible as they think you are.
We're not as invincible. Like we don't
And
get
not
enough
evil.
credit. We're
Not
not
evil,
evil.
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, all those.
They're there
Well-
to help. Their job is to help.
Yeah.
Let me say this. I wrote this down, so I'm gonna read it off my notebook. The reason why we should give teachers more credit is because teachers leads our future and set a pathway for a future and future generations too. It doesn't have to be this generation teachers, could be the next generation teachers too. Teachers helps us and guides us in a certain path some of us enjoy right now, because without my teacher I wouldn't have really enjoyed my, I don't think I would really enjoy my path if I didn't take the path I did.
Right.
And the final question is, do you love teaching?
I fucking love it.
Heck,
Like
yeah.
it's everything that I thought it would be. I love working with kids. I love the people I work with right now. Like it's a really good school. I love everyone I go work with. Like we have really good connections. We have good laughs. It's just a really good culture.
Hey, guess what? we love teachers that love working
Hell yeah.
as a teacher because
Yeah,
they don't love their job. Why are they even doing it?
Well, no, exactly. It's if you
because
get stagnant,
these
find
kids
something else.
are vulnerable and they need someone that love their job and teach them the right way.
Change your life.
Yep.
Yeah.
And off my notebook again. And without teachers, our brain will not be fully developed too. I'm just gonna be honest because we need someone to develop our brains, and teachers are there to do that.
Yeah.
And then it also helps us to know how to problem solve.
Yeah.
They give us the real real life harsh reality, and then once we get into it, it hits. Because my teacher was acting like my boss, and I kind of figured out how I knew how to work it out, even though she wasn't my boss. But for me, it helped me know how to handle a situation like that in the real world.
Yeah.
It also helps our teachers helps us find growth in ourselves too, and spreading knowledge that can help us shape our today world. And I just want to say I appreciate all the teachers, the good ones. That I don't remember the names, and some I do. I want to appreciate my friend Zach here, also a great teacher. And hopefully you guys can be influenced or learn his perspective as a teacher. Or if you ever want to take this path of becoming a teacher, hopefully this can help you too. Make sure to like, subscribe, share.
Comment down below.
Comment, please. We need those comments. You got anything else to add?
Nah, man.
All right. We out.